"Move your boat," she said, her voice sharp and dripping with authority. But the man did not flinch. He simply looked out at the calm waters of the lake, the very lake she believed she controlled. What she didn't know was that the lake belonged to him, and by the time the truth surfaced, her entire fishing club would be gone. The sun glinted off the rippling water, each wave catching light like liquid silver. A man stood by the dock, steady, silent, his broad shoulders shadowing the boat he had guided there with care. His hands were calloused, marked by years of service and sacrifice, yet gentle as they brushed against the worn ropes. Then came the voice, sharp, commanding, laced with disdain. "You can't park your boat here. This lake is for residents only." It was the head of the local homeowners association, a woman who wore authority like armor. She didn't ask, she ordered. She didn't question, she judged. Around her, members of the fishing club whispered, smirking at the sight of a man they thought didn't belong. But he did not answer. He simply gazed across the water, breathing in the scent of pine and fresh air, as if her words were no more than wind. For this was not just a lake to him. It was memory, sacrifice, and blood. He had once stood in deserts where sand seared his skin and oceans where salt and sweat blurred his eyes. A veteran of battles no one here would ever know, he carried scars hidden beneath his quiet exterior. And this lake, these waters, was his sanctuary. His father had bought it years ago, long before the club was formed. And now it belonged to him, but they didn't know that. The HOA woman stepped closer, her voice rising. "I said move it. You don't own this place. We do." The bystanders said nothing. They watched, some averting their eyes, others amused at the spectacle. Silence, that familiar silence, hung heavy. He had felt it before, in uniform, when those who owed him gratitude looked away instead. Yet he remained calm. His silence was not weakness. It was strength. The woman snapped her fingers toward the others. "If he doesn't move, we'll call security. We don't allow outsiders here. This is private property." And then, almost imperceptibly, his hand brushed over the keychain clipped to his belt, a weathered brass tag, etched with a name that matched the deed. A subtle gesture, but enough. A quiet reminder that truth was written in paper and blood, not in arrogance. Finally, when her threats had peaked, he spoke, just once. His voice was low and steady, like distant thunder rolling over the lake. "You don't tell a man to move from land he owns." The words rippled through the crowd, shaking their certainty. She laughed at first, dismissive, but then she saw the documents he unfolded, the seal of ownership, and the signature of law. Gasps followed. The fishing club shifted uneasily, their smirks fading into silence. The authority they thought they had dissolved like mist. "You asked me to leave," he said, his voice unbroken. "But it is you who must go. Every meeting, every gathering on this lake ends today." And with that, the tide turned. The HOA, once so certain, was powerless. The fishing club they had run for years was dissolved by the very man they tried to push aside. The whispers returned, but this time they carried weight, not laughter. And though the crowd stood silent, their silence now carried respect. He turned back toward the water, steady, unshaken. For him, justice had never needed shouting. Only patience, only truth. As the crowd dispersed, a few lingered, watching him with a newfound reverence. One of them whispered words that would linger long after the confrontation ended. Dignity speaks loudest when words are few, and for the man, silence was not emptiness, it was honor. Because sometimes, true power is not in raising one's voice, but in standing unshaken when the world tries to move you. Respect is not given by titles or committees. It is earned through sacrifice, through honor, through dignity that does not waver when tested. What do you think? Was the man right to let his silence carry the truth until the end? Comment below where you're watching from and share your thoughts on this story. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that honor strength, sacrifice, and the quiet power of unseen heroes.